Random thoughts. In this video, I'm going to read parts of Sir Richard Burton's book, First Steps in East Africa, Exploration of Harar, where he kind of like expresses his frustrations on how Governor Shamarke was doing things, especially about helping him get to Harar. Remember, Sir Richard Burton comes to Zaylac because he needs help from Governor Shamarke, or Hajj Shamarke as he calls him, so that he can go all the way to Harar. His goal is to reach Harar so that he can collect information that he can then present to the British, who are very much interested in using that information to capture the port of Berbera and maybe capture also Harar. So he's come to Zaylac and he's been there for close to a month. And things seem not to be working. Shamarke was supposed to provide a few things, and we are going to see some of those things that he was expected to provide. But it seemed like he was not moving fast, or he was not interested. And his behavior leaves you wondering, did he really want to help the British? Or was he trying to use them in some ways? Or was he trying to benefit in some other ways and he wasn't really interested in helping them get to Harar the way they wanted, or help Richard Burton get to Harar the way the British wanted? Now, here is the first part where he brings that frustration up. He says, "You must not suppose, dear L," and I think L, I don't know who is L, because this is written like a letter to someone. Could be a family member or could be his seniors who are in Aden or maybe in Europe. He says, you must not suppose, dear L, that I yielded myself willingly to the weary necessity of a month at Zayla. He had stayed at Zayla for like a month. But now explain to you the obstacles thrown in my way by African indolence, petty intrigue, and interminable suspicion. So he thinks he's talking of African indolence, which is like maybe laziness or lack of the will to move things forward. I don't know why that should have to be African. I think all people can behave the same for different reasons, but he decides that, hey, Africans are lazy. I think it's a common way of seeing Africans during this time. So he says that they are holding him back for their own issues that he doesn't like. He says, 4 months before leaving Aden, I had taken the precaution of meeting Hajj, that is Shamarke, requesting him to select for us an Aban, or protector. Now, an Aban was somebody who will be selected from the local community, and this is the person who will be like your guide and protector, like he will intervene on your behalf because they understand the local, of course, environment better than you do. So he had requested to be given one, and this is a person that, of course, they were going to pay. He continues to say, and to provide camels and mules. 2 months before starting, I had advanced to him the money required in a country where nothing can be done without a whole or partial prepayment. The protector was not procured anywhere. The cattle at Tajura, scarcely a day's sail from Zayla. When I arrived, nothing was forthcoming. I at once begged the governor to exert himself, and he politely promised to start a messenger that hour, and he delayed doing so for 10 days. So he tries to talk to the governor, do some of these things, and these things were not happening. And sometimes, like he says, the governor will promise like, oh, I'm going to send somebody in an hour, and then a few days later nothing has really happened. Then he continues, an easterly wind set in and gave the crew an excuse for wasting another fortnight. Now there was an excuse why things were not going to happen. The weather was not conducive enough. He continues, travelers are irritable, Janus. I stormed and fretted at the delays to show an earnestness of purpose. All the effect was paroxysm of talking. The Hajj and his son treated me like a spoiled child to a double allowance of food and milk. They warned me that the smallpox was depopulating Harar, that the road swarmed with brigands, and that the emir or prince was certain destruction. I contented myself with determining that both were true Oriental hyperbolists and fell into more frequent fits of passion. So he talks to Shamarke and his son. He's trying to ask them, or he shows his frustration. He makes a lot of noise, I'm thinking, but he doesn't get anywhere. And all they do is talk, and they started, maybe we can say, bribing him with food, making it double, and they start giving him news that was not good, like, you know what, smallpox is doing a lot of damage in Harar, so maybe it's not the right time for you to go. So they were derailing him, and it's hard even for us to understand as we read, why were they derailing him? Seems like Shamarke did not want Richard Burton to go to Harar. For some reason, he did not want him to go to Harar. He continues to say, the old man could not comprehend my secret. If the English, he privately remarked, wish to take Harar, let them send me 500 soldiers. If not, I can give all information concerning it. So he tells him, if the British want to go to Harar or they want my help to take Harar, they should send me soldiers. This makes me think Shamarke really wanted to fight Harar for his own behalf. He wanted to conquer Harar and Berbera for his own behalf. And he saw the British just as an accessory, just as a tool that he needed to use. And he seemed like he was playing them and he was trying to figure out, how can I use these people to my own advantage? That's what this kind of talking makes me think. I think he wasn't really interested in helping the British. I think he was trying to figure out how he could use the British for his own advantage so that he could take over Harar and he could take over Berbera. When convinced of my determination to travel, he applied his mind to calculating the benefit which might be derived from the event, as following pages will show. He was not without success. And then now he goes into telling us all the things that were happening and how it looks like things were not being pushed enough. And he also tells us about, seems like it was a conspiracy on the people on the side of Shamarke to delay him or to derail him, and also to make him pay more and more and more for stuff. That's when you read that part, that seems to be like what was actually going on. So overall, it seems like Shamarke did not want to have Richard Burton go to Harar. Maybe he was trying to use him as a bargain. He was trying to see how, for example, you see where he says, if the British want us to go to Harar, they should send me 500 soldiers. He was trying to see how he can get resources out of the British in terms of maybe weapons and soldiers and such kind of things, and maybe money, so that he could go himself and lead that and maybe take over Harar as himself. It seems like, and it also seems like he was not so sure what the plan of the British was. And I remember I read another part of this book where Richard Burton says, Shamarke had dreams. He had dreams to conquer Harar and Berbera. So it seems like to Shamarke, it was all about how he could take advantage of the British. He wasn't there as a servant of the British, at least going to how things are playing out. He wasn't there just as a compliant servant of the British who was going to do anything and everything they want so that they can get whatever they want, so that they can conquer Harar and they can conquer Berbera. Seems like that's not what it was. Seems like he was a guy who was doing his own calculations. And seems like when he realized that there was no way he could hold this guy back, he decided to bring in the card of using the cost of it and trying to make everything seem very difficult to do so that maybe he could derail this guy. Now, when he reaches that point, now we don't understand. It's hard to understand what was the goal. What was the goal? It's hard to know. Now, seems like Shamarke was also using other people. Now, finally, he did appoint a protector. He did get Richard Burton a protector, a guy who went by the name Ragi. Now, Ragi, now this is what Richard Burton writes about Ragi, also seeming like he becomes an obstacle instead of becoming like a helper of the situation or helping him achieve what he wanted to achieve. He says, Ragi warned us seriously to prepare for dangers and disasters, and this seems to be the general opinion of Zayla, whose timid citizens determined that we were tired of our lives. Like there was this messaging that was coming to Richard Burton and his team that you people seem like you don't know what you're dealing with. You people, it seems like you've given up on your lives because the journey you are about to start is going to be very dangerous. You shouldn't take it. That seems like, and this coming from your protector, the guy who's supposed to lead you, is very discouraging, I guess. And he continued to say, the cold had driven the nomads from the hills to the warm maritime plains. We should therefore traverse a populous region, and the end of the time aptly observed, man eats you up, the desert does not. Moreover, so yeah, there's this wisdom that used to be like, which basically the way I'm interpreting it means that men or human beings, fellow human beings, are the most serious danger you have to worry about in the world. Like, and it seems like they were being forced to go through a population or a land occupied by many people. Yeah, people are the worst enemies of people. For the most part, actually, we are the worst enemies of ourselves as humans. And so I'm thinking that's what he was being told. he continues to say, moreover, this year the Ayal Nu Ismail, a clan of the Habri Awal tribe, is out and has been successful against the Isa, who generally are the better men. So there is also this message coming that there is this other group of people who seems like they have an upper hand, and it's like he's being told, while the Isa are very good, there's this other group of people and seems they are overpowering them, kind of like. So the messaging, the general messaging is that Richard Burton was getting this message of don't go, basically, from everyone in the town was telling them, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. And that, of course, leaves you wondering, was this a conspiracy to have him not go to Harar, or it was actually genuine concerns by the people around them? Those are my random thoughts.